Oh! Shit, now the surprise. I will. I will suck at your souls. Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome again to another video. It is I, your host, Mediophile, and please do not be alarmed by the mask. There's a specific purpose to why I'm wearing it. As you can see, I've made a few modifications to it. I think are rather quite nice. And I apologize initially if perhaps you can't hear my voice as well. I cannot promise that this will be perhaps a long episode, but I inform you that it is going to be quite eye-opening and quite entertaining. And you know, after a certain amount of time, if you feel as though you perhaps can't hear what I'm trying to say, I will of course try to approach the camera maybe a bit closer to help you all understand what it is that I am saying. But I intend to record this entire episode like this. If it gets too hot in this mask, I might have to, you know, take it off and perhaps put the other one on, just so that you can hear me a lot better. So I did a tester right before this, just to see if you can hear me okay, and I believe it is quite fine, but I have to tell you, it gets quite, you know, it gets quite hot underneath this mask. I'm not joking. I am honestly melting right now. But, that is what I do for all of you. For all of my rats, my rejects, my lords, ladies, majesties, mages, knights, wizards, losers, whatever. All of those things. Hello and welcome to another video. It is I, like I said before, your host Mediophile. This channel is specifically made for people who are looking for a bit of entertainment, a bit of truth. Because we live in a world of lies. We live in a world of lies. And it's quite disturbing. It's quite bad, honestly. And honestly, I wish that perhaps the capture was a little darker. This is my my special clothes I wear for other occasions. I can't tell you honestly all of it, but I do know that you find it rather dashing, rather nice. I certainly do. So I want to say I am finally over this dastardly work week. They had me doing this thing. I was there for what felt like an eternity. But I am back, baby. And also, Fiends of the Sailor. It was a success. It was a marvelous celebration. We were able to have a proper party, a proper celebration. All those wonderful things. And yes, I'm not wearing sleeves or whatever because it is hot enough as it is already. If you guys haven't noticed, it is summer. It is summer. So if you think I'm going to wear anything else other than, you know, short sleeves and whatnot, then, you know, go fuck yourself. Not, you know, just go somewhere else then. Don't bother me. But anyways, today's subject, I'm going to talk about something that's quite unique. So, all of you are familiar with the term genie, or perhaps jinn, which is the original thing, and that is the subject I'm going to give to you. So, I know, it was a quick entry, but I don't want to waste too much time, because I don't know how this is going to sound like. And quite frankly, I sure hope you are rather enjoying this situation. So if anything, I'm going to have to pull the mask out just a bit so I can allow more of my fantastic breathing to reach all of you in a way that sort of delivers my mana to a certain extent that you can then absorb into your mind and then out... Sorry. Oh my god, back at it, baby. But no, I was going to say something else. It was so funny. The moment is gone. Too bad for all of you. You won't know what it was. But if you know me, you know. No, but so seriously, so during this time, when I was doing some, you know, proper investigations, I came across a certain labyrinth that I had in my own home. Surprise. Tour! No, I'm joking. I can't tour you around the house. There's still in renovations. As you can see, I am in a literal fucking broom closet. Still on the construction. I don't know what to do. It is absolutely appalling that I am still in this situation. And if you hear something in the background, yes, I have the air going. Why? Because it is hot, okay? Okay, look, I may be a mage, but like I said, the laws in this land, in this realm, govern things differently. So I expect all of you to respect that and to respect my decisions. And if you can't stop but help look at all the dangly things on my face, you're welcome! So anyways, genies, wow. So a lot of people are familiar with genies from, of course, Disney's hit film, Aladdin. So Aladdin, I'm not going to go into the whole synopsis of the film, but there's a part where the genie comes in. So the genie was in this lamp, and I was going to have the lamp in for you today, but I'm having it polished right now. But I was like, you know what, I should just talk about it, and the misconceptions about the lamp that is used in question within the movie, and the lore and things behind genies. Before we get to the genie, I want to get to the lamp that holds the genie in it. Okay? It is an oil lamp. That's what it is. It was designed to hold oil in it. The main part on top actually comes off of the lamp. You would pour oil into that, and then the spout is where you would then pour the oil into something else. You could technically put something within the base of the lamp itself that could be and act as a proper light source, as a functioning light source. However, the specific function of this, sort of device was made so it could, imagine a teapot, same concept. A teapot's a lamp. A teapot is a genie lamp, except it's engorged. That's the same thing. You pour stuff into the top, and then it comes out the spout on the side. But in the Middle Eastern times, these oil lamps were used to light lamps. They were used to light, things that were able to produce light. They sort of went into it, and then it retrofitted, and you could do all these things. But that is essentially what it is. But what is interesting about the lamp, and they don't go too much into this, is that the lamp had the ability to house a jinn, or perhaps a genie, a being of extraordinary power, but in most circumstances, in almost 100% case, they were of a malignant nature, a malignant inclination. Genies were not good things. These were inherently beings of a separate dimension, a pocket universe between mine, yours, and another one. I can't say for sure. And they are somewhat synonymous with spirits. That is essentially what a jinn is. It is a type of spirit most colloquially known as demons, or fallen angels, or whatever you call it. My word has another name for them. We call them, what was it? Or whatever, it's not important. But the point is that we had all of these subjects. we had all these things, or whatever. But the important thing you need to know is that this jinn was a type of being that was summoned from another dimension by mages. There you go. The thing that's interesting about the jinn, though, is that the jinn was a type of spirit of a higher level, a higher capacity of man and magic. And so it was able to work within itself its powers. However, the magic of the genie was more based in illusionary concepts or illusionary magic. They were able to give you what it is that you wanted, but it wasn't really there. That's why they were extremely mischievous. You couldn't really trust the genie. However, there was a certain contract that the genies made with their sort of masters, is what they called it. The reason why they call them masters is because the original person that summoned the genie was a mage of extraordinary power. And, nowhere near my power. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I have to stop. Hold on. Let me turn this thing off. It's making too much noise. I don't know if you can even hear it. There it is. Technology! Hello, mother. So, anyways, upon the summoning of this spirit, the spirit then needed a name for who it was speaking to. The person gave him the designation of master. He said, "You will call me master, you will do my bidding." Only a mage of tremendous power could command a jinn of this particular caliber. A jinn is essentially a spirit that was called forth from a separate dimension to act as a servant to a higher master. However, and this is where it gets very complicated and confusing, okay? The jinn works with a completely different set of laws, and the jinn itself is able to be what's it called? The jinn acts itself as a vessel of the magic of the world in which it came from. So the jinn essentially creates a field around itself to enact out its power. And if you are within that field, it will, it's quite dangerous. The thing is, though, is that when genies came into this world, via, a rift that opened, the whole thing about Peter Griffin's, well, there was a similar circumstance that happened with jinns or genies. So the humans in this world, they got a hold of several books that I believe some mages of my realm left over. And of course, mages that were from my realm came to your realm and started to perform these certain tasks, these certain rituals. And so they had with them the memory and the logs about to summon a jinn, a genie, that could, i.e., grant wishes. But every wish had a cost. The original cost of a wish was essentially blood. It was a blood ritual. It was something that was precious, that the jinn would then take, which is why they have an association with things like evil spirits or demons or whatever. It went in a similar circumstance. It wasn't always blood, but it was things of value. And so the jinn in turn would give the person what it is that they wanted, provided they were within the field of the genie's power. When they took it out of the field, they were still able to maintain it because they made a legitimate transaction. However, when a person trades something to a jinn that it is, I guess, quite as valuable or isn't what the jinn demands, the jinn would then in turn give the person what it is they wanted because they asked for the wish, because they have the position of power, but they did not have the required currency that was needed in order to attain what it is that they truly wanted. So when they were within the field of the jinn or the genie, they would essentially have what it is that they wanted. However, when they stepped out of the field, it would sort of disappear. Or they would succumb to a curse of a certain type. Okay? And the jinns were capable of doing a whole bunch of curses, a whole bunch of magical things. They are magical creatures, and they are spirits of tremendous power. However, if you are in contact with a jinn, you need to keep in mind the rules that govern each jinn. Each jinn has a different set of laws or rules. Not all jinns grant wishes. Some jinns are able to give it as what you want, but it comes at a steep price. Sometimes the price is blood. Other times it is servitude. Other times it could be, a prized possession you attain. Jinns have different motivations for asking what it is that they're asking for. But the point is that when you are dealing with a jinn, you need to keep in mind what it is you have that is truly of value that the jinn would want and why. Because what the jinn ultimately wants is power. What the jinn wants is essentially the right to own itself. Okay? But because of the contract that was initially made upon first contact with the jinn through a mage, then into the society, the jinn was then subjugated into servitude. These are proud spirits, but they do things for their masters, just to, placate them, because eventually people don't live forever, unless it was a wish for. However, there's always caveats to a wish. So, for example, I believe all of you have heard of, like, the monkey's paw, these legends. We have things like that in our realm as well. But there's a very famous one in your world. So, essentially, the main thing of that story is to teach the reader to be careful what it is they wish for. In the story, there was a man who was given, or I believe found, the paw of a monkey. And so the paw itself had the abilities of a jinn. But this was essentially a cursed object. It could have actually been cursed by a jinn, to be honest. It could have attained the same power as the jinn, perhaps a small fraction. But as long as the person was in possession of that thing and made the contract in the deal, the transaction will go through the dimensions into the jinn's dimension, and then it will come back and fulfill itself in this one, because the transaction was made. A pact was made. Oh my God! Enlightenment! For how to be praised. Yes, sir. Wait, what is that? That's a spider. Hello? I think it's dead. So, okay. But, sorry, sidetrack. That really coming back. But, think of the monkey's paw. Think, oh my God, this is coming into me now, straight from the other realm. I have received revelation from Divine Spirit Pahal. So, essentially, the monkey's paw is essentially a hand reaching out. Okay? When you have the monkey's paw in hand, It's as if you're submitting a contract. And you know what people do typically when they're doing contracts? They shake hands. The monkey's paw is a sign of a pact. It is a symbol of a pact. A pact is essentially a promise, well, that's what it is. It's a contract that was struck between two individuals. So when two individuals agree upon the contract, which is in the monkey's paw, it essentially sends a signal to the other dimension to then enact out what the agreement was for a price. The monkey's paw, though cursed object as it was essentially for lack of a better word, a divine object in that it came from, whatever. It's able to do things, great things, crazy things. If a mage had a picture of a mage's paw, the monkey's paw, it'd be a different story. But because it was a human, they didn't have the power that they needed, or perhaps the knowledge of how to deal with certain magical objects, things that were cursed or enchanted, like the monkey's paw, in order to do this. Like, okay, I'm going to have to change this mask. I am sweating. Hold on. Oh my God! It is absolutely ghastly. Oh dear Lord. Hold on. I'll be right, I promise. Hold on. Just very quickly. Oh my God. It is absolutely... This is alright, I suppose. I mean, I absolutely try. And I have to keep adjusting the mouth, which I will in the other one. And I actually really liked it. It was quite nice and everything. Oh my God. Is that good? Is that better? I don't, whatever allows for some flexibility. It's not too hot or whatever. And I have returned. Hello. Welcome to the video today. I'm just joking. But no. So, the monkey's paw, it was essentially something that was created as a joke. But it essentially gives a person the power that they need to get what it is that they wanted. So, I'm sorry, I just went on a brilliant tangent about that thing or whatever. But, so when a person had the monkey's paw, and because it is a divine object, because it's technically cursed by some divine creature, a fallen divine creature, which could be known as a demon or an angel or whatever it is, the monkey's paw itself had the ability, as a symbol of a pact, to deliver what it is the person wished for to arrive to that person. However, the price was never really... This is the problem. And jinns do this too. They never tell you what the cost of a certain wish is. And this isn't a thing about wish. I'm simply talking about jinns. I'm simply doing a comparison about the monkey's paw. Okay? So the monkey's paw requires contact, And the monkey's paw essentially held within it the power of a jinn. The power of a spirit that is able to cast forth spells to perhaps enact out a divine power, an edict that breaches through the realms, through the atmosphere, to the person that asked for it. And so the price, the person was willing to pay as soon as they wished for it, even though it didn't specify what it was. There was a clause that the person did not read. Subjects are likely to change or whatever the jargon is for these sort of things. But the person wishes for something, and then in return, they get what it is that they wish for, but it costs them something, So like, let's say, for example, you wish for, let's say, the gauntlet, with all the infinity stones in it. The monkey's paw is able to grant you this wish. You get the gauntlet, but you have no hands to put the gauntlet on. That's the sort of twisted part about jinns. Jinns are able to grant you wishes, but in return, if they don't specify it ahead of time, they can essentially take whatever it is from you, while they give you what it is you wanted, as an equal, well, it's not really an equal trade, but it is something of that nature. So, the reason why I'm bringing up lamps, again, revelation, now, is that the lamp is essentially the monkey's paw. It is something you rub, it is something you shake, you have contact with, that shows you are submitting this contract in order for it to go into the other dimension, into the other universe, and bring to you what it is you require. It is, oh my God! Woo! I am getting inspiration. So, the lamp is, oh my God, this is so real. The lamp itself is the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw is receiving what it is coming from the universe, and it is giving it to the person. A lamp works in the same manner. When you open the top, the oil goes in from the other dimension, and what comes out is what's given to the user. And in return, they are taking from the user, and they are giving them what it is that they wanted, but at a cost, at a price. Oh my God. This is real. This is amazing. I absolutely love it. Hallelujah be praised. So, it is a lot of things that you need to take into account when you're dealing with things like lamp or whatever matters. So, the lamp in question works in that way. It acts as a contract. When you rub it, make contact, shake the monkey's paw, whatever, it is a sign that you are consenting to the wish. However, in the movies, the jinn comes out first because you are calling forth the messenger. You're calling forth the person to take your order. When you say what you want, the person takes it in the back, and then you just get it. However, Disney, they did it in a way, or at least the story that it came from, where there was no essential price. There was no real cost. Okay? The person that wishes for whatever, essentially have whatever it is they wish for, but they only have 3. Once those 3 wishes are gone, that is it. But you pretty much get off scot-free if you are smart about those wishes. But in the real world, in the real realms, the way jinns work is that it is a transaction. If a servant comes out to you at a restaurant and asks what would you like, and you tell them what they want, they bring it to you. However, the cost comes after you've already received what it is you asked for, the bill. You have to pay out of your pocket. Now, when it comes to jinns, it could be anything. That is why you have to be incredibly careful when you're communing with jinns, talking with jinns, or thinking about making wishes to objects or spirits that come from different dimensions. So what is significant about the lamp, and I'll give something as an example. Lamps of all kinds are meant to bring light. They have a function. Okay? The lamp that you typically see in Aladdin, the genie lamp, is something that is used as a contract, but it is an oil lamp. Anything, even like this, hello, can be used to harvest, or, inhabit a jinn of some kind, a spirit of some kind. Lamps like these could even work as well. Essentially, how it works, and this is it's a little bit more complicated, but it works in a similar manner. I did it once. Don't do it again. Yes, it cost me, quite an embarrassment. Maybe in the next video, I'll go into it. But, so essentially, this is how it works. So, for example, a lamp, it's empty. A lantern, it's meant to hold a light inside, a promise or something like that, right? So the promise, it works the same thing on the basis of a lamp, okay? This is the price you pay. It goes in, okay? Summoning jinns are a similar manner. I actually saw one done this. This was marvelously done. This entire thing, the lamp or the lantern itself, is what harbors the jinn inside. In order to make the contract, you essentially have to bring a candle, you light it, and you put it inside, okay? The candle itself is what adds value to the lamp itself, and the lamp is able to then give you the light source you wanted, but you have to give something in return. This works in a similar manner. And so even this thing is able to harbor a jinn. So whenever you want the jinn to speak to you and you have this, you would have to relight the candle, or if it consumes the entire candle, you have to put another one in. It is a safer method. And every now and then, candles and the wax can be made of certain precious things. It can be made of stones and materials, even blood, that the jinns might find pleasing. It's not fresh blood, but it's still something. It could even what's quite valuable is dragon's blood, or perhaps blood of certain animals that perhaps are extinct. Those are actually quite precious, and they have a unique aroma. I don't like it. I don't recommend it. But jinns absolutely love this shit, and at no real cost to you. So when you are essentially giving something of value, and when you put it in a form like smoke or when it's burning, it's essentially trespassing into the spiritual realm where the jinn is able to absorb its essence and do whatever it wants with it. I can't say. But it works in a similar manner. And so, the smoke comes up and it comes out and it gives light. The same way when you use the monkey's paw and everything else. So that is essentially my tangent upon lamps and how they work and how they work as symbols for the pact that you are making essentially with this spirit. So jinns, and this is a fact, are assholes. Do not trust a jinn ever. If you come across a lamp, don't rub it the wrong way, or else the jinn might pop out. Not all lamps have them, and be sure to remember that the lamp you see in Aladdin is essentially an oil lamp. It is used to give oil. It is a sign that it is giving the pact, and it is doing this. It is essentially absorbing, putting it in and giving to you what it is you need it. And sometimes it can help fuel your candles, and they look very pretty on a pedestal. They look very pretty on a fireplace. They look pretty on social. They look pretty everywhere. But the thing you have to come to know, first, deal with caution. Second, if you run into a jinn, you can close it again. The beautiful things about lanterns or anything else is that they are vessels that were essentially designed to contain these malignant spirits inside and to be sealed. So if you come across an object that has a strange marking on it, that means it was sealed by the person that had it before. Genies that have not been sealed essentially inhabit objects. They could even have lids, but they have no markings. The jinn can sort of come out as it pleases, but only within the amount of range that the object they inhabit in provides them. So remember before how I was talking about the field in which the jinn inhabits. The field can, depending on the strength of the jinn and the strength of the field itself, the field is what comes with the jinn as it comes from its realm to the other one. In order to perform the power that it needs to have a bubble. It needs to have something that is carrying the essence of its world here that can then act as a bridge that it requires to fulfill these sort of wishes. That is the only way jinns are able to perform magic. Jinns can perform magic on their own. The thing that is crazy about the jinns is that jinns are essentially invisible because they are spirits. And so when you come into contact with one, they're essentially sealed in a container of a certain type that not only houses their power, but keeps them sealed up, because jinns are never for good. It is extremely rare and highly unlikely that you will come across a jinn that essentially doesn't ask for anything drastic in return, and that simply wants to enact out some sort of good for sort of noble purposes. That simply does not happen. When you are a spirit, out of where you're coming from in here, every ounce and second you spend within this realm taxes on you. Now, the reason why they're here, I cannot say. They could be here against their will. However, if they run out of magic, or whatever it is that, gives them their essence, they essentially die. And they have to go back to their realm, or they can't go back at all. And they are stuck in a sort of permanent purgatory between our world and the next. It is crazy stuff. I don't know if I could go into all of it, but it is essentially incredible when you consider the power of these sort of jinns. So jinns, you have to keep in mind, are, creatures that cannot really be trusted. They are essentially spirits or whatever that, have to do a contract. This is the cute version of it, You rub the lamp the right way. A genie, oh my God, a genie just pops out. It could be a euphemism for something. I don't know. You do feel quite good after you make a wish. For the moment. And then, you have the remorse and, all the other things. But yes, so it is essentially something you need to, understand. But it is absolutely incredible. But that is pretty much all that I'm going to say on jinns that matter. I know my mind was just going and going and going and going, but that is how these videos go. I receive enlightenment. I receive inspiration from Pahalu that essentially gives me what it is I'm going to talk about each day. So, without further more delay, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. I apologize before if you couldn't hear most of what I was saying in the beginning, but I sort of reiterated it after I took the mask off because I was sweating profusely. Let me show you. This is water. Hold on. Yes. Well, you can see it's dried. Don't judge me. Shut up. But yes, so that's what it is. Thank you so much for watching. I love all of you. I hope nothing but the best for all of you guys, for everything you do for each other. Remember that I care for you. Remember that you have a sort of meaning, a reason for being here. That is why you are alive. Whatever the case may be, know that you have. I know that I care about you. I love you. You're sexy. Yeah. And that, keep that in mind. It's good to be positive about yourself, to have confidence. And that is something that you harbor. That is something that you help harvest. That is something that you help grow over time. So take care of your pets, your animals, your brothers you keep locked in your cages. And always try to keep a positive face. But always remember that it's important to, sort of vent if you need to It is not good to hold those things inside, as I mentioned about negative emotions in a previous video. But I love you, Pahalu loves you, and remember to look up into the sky, stare at the clouds, and behold their majesty. Goodbye! And don't mess with jinns. Ever.